Whether you call it nappy rash or diaper rash, they're both the same thing, and it affects 1 in 3 babies. In this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to get rid of it. So what does nappy rash look like? Well, generally speaking, the skin around the nappy area can be red, inflamed, hot to touch, spotty, and even blisters can form if the rash is quite persistent. Now, typically the rash is what we call well defined, so it's easy to see where it starts and where it stops. Now, if you're still a little confused as to what nappy rash is and what it looks like, I've left more information in the description below, and I've also left some really useful links that have got loads of pictures which should help you. Now, there are a few causes for nappy rash, one of which is human waste products. If the nappies aren't changed for a while, it can begin to turn into ammonia, which can actually irritate the skin. Fungal infections can also happen due to the dampness under the nappy, which can also potentially lead to a bacterial infection if the conditions are right. Now, please notice how I said the conditions must be right. So if we're able to prevent these conditions and other things, it could potentially leave your baby nappy rash free, which is what everyone wants. So let's move on to them. Also, if you're watching this in the US or Canada, you might be a little confused as to what nappies are. Nappies are the term that we use in the UK, and it's what you guys call diapers. Tip number 1, make sure to change wet and dirty nappies straight away. Don't wait. Which leads me on to tip number 2, clean the nappy area thoroughly and gently. Either use water or use alcohol and fragrance-free wipes, wiping from front to back. Now, I'll also leave a link in the description below, which has loads of useful information on this. Tip 3. Lie your baby on a clean towel and leave their nappy off for as long and as often as you can. This will let more fresh air get to the skin. Tip 4. Now, if the nappy rash isn't upsetting your baby at each nappy change, you can also apply a small thin layer of barrier cream or ointment, which is going to prevent the skin from becoming more irritated. Now, there's various different ingredients in these barrier creams and ointments that your pharmacist can recommend you on. Some of the ingredients they contain is zinc oxide, dexpanthenol, and titanium dioxide. Tip number 5. What I wouldn't recommend is people using powders to keep the nappy area dry. These can actually irritate the skin, and your baby might even breathe it into its lungs. Tip number 6. Bath your baby daily and stick to that limit. Don't do it twice a day or more often than that, because it can actually dry out the skin. And when it comes to drying the skin, pat them gently. Don't rub vigorously with a towel. Now, nappy rash usually clears up within 3 days of following these tips, which is great news. But if your baby is suffering from discomfort because of the nappy rash, then seek advice from your pharmacist or another healthcare professional. Now, your healthcare professional may advise you to use a steroid cream, an antifungal cream like clotrimazole, miconazole, or a combination cream which contains them both. Now, if your baby is prescribed a steroid cream, let's say hydrocortisone for example, please remember it's used to treat inflammation, but it's not meant to be used for long periods. It's usually a maximum of 7 days unless you're advised otherwise by a healthcare professional. Please use it as it's been prescribed, and also remember to leave at least 15 minutes before you apply the barrier cream or ointment. Steroid cream should also be used very thinly, so I'll leave more information in the description below on actually how little you should be using. Now, unlike steroid creams, antifungal cream should be used for 7 to 14 days after the infection has completely gone. This is to prevent the fungal infection from coming back. Now, remember, don't use a barrier cream at the same time until the infection is completely gone, you're no longer using it, then you can use it if you need to. And as always with all medication, always read the information leaflet and check with the pharmacist that it's suitable and safe to use for your baby. Now, it is quite normal for babies to develop a rash, but it's also important that you're aware when to seek medical attention. So I'm going to leave a really useful link in the description below. I'd advise everyone to check it out. It's a great visual display of different rashes and what to do. See you next week. Links in the description below, and it's got more description and more pictures and more everything and more descriptions. Which brings me on to tip number 2. Whoa. Bro, I didn't know you were in there. That was a surprise. I was thinking where you were. I thought you were in the toilet. Please remember it's used to treat inflammation. It's not meant to be used for long durations, usually a maximum of 7 days. Please use it as prescribed. And I can't remember what I meant to say now. Also happened because of the dampness under the nappy. Hey guys, thanks for watching this week's video. Make sure to click that like, follow or subscribe button now to stay up to date with new weekly videos.